You might be familiar with IamBetterThanYourKids.com. It's a site written by Maddox featuring harsh reviews of children's artwork. For example, the writing prompt was draw a picture of something you can push, not draw a picture of something you can rape. Don't be that guy, Hannah. F-. I remember this being ridiculously popular, just spread everywhere. And now it seems like the Washington Post believe it's time for this idea to make a comeback, but with a little bit of a spin. Super Mario Maker is an engine for circulating horrible new Mario levels by Michael Thompson. But whereas Maddox would crush children's crayon drawings for being so inferior to what he could do, this guy takes a creation game suitable for 3-year-olds and slams what people have been using it to make as being above his ability to engage with. Playing the user-created levels feels jarringly antithetical to the welcoming nature of most Mario games, which even at their most difficult have a simplicity and transparency to their challenge. The most popular user levels in Super Mario Maker feel bafflingly opaque, frenzied contraptions that rarely seem to have a purpose. Returning to older Mario games after a dozen hours with Super Mario Maker, the distinction becomes even more radical. Super Mario Maker levels often feel like they have nothing to offer but petty difficulty, while even the most unimpressive levels from 2012's New Super Mario Bros. U, one of the least well regarded in the series, uses a minimum amount of difficulty to set up a sense of progress and discovery that's missing from most Maker levels. This guy owns a toy even, that makes it nearly effortless to make Super Mario levels. He knows exactly what he wants, he knows what's bad, he knows what's good, he knows what makes something good or bad. And yet, while he has everything he needs to do this at his fingertips, he complains about other people's creations instead of making his own. It's called Super Mario Maker, not Super Mario Lazy Cunt Critic. To be fair though, he has tried to cover himself on this point elsewhere in the article. The level editor is both incredibly easy to use and despairingly limited by the mandate that all of your ideas fit in the Mario universe. It's open-ended enough to make one want to imagine entirely new ways to play video games, but in practice it seems capable of producing only bad variations on ideas old Mario has already done better. And then underneath, because this is digital media and can of course be done, he provides an example of the best he can make with the level editor to show that it's down to the tools and not just him being an idiot. No, of course not really. But why would anyone even try to do something creative unless they are good at it immediately? And how could they possibly just have different taste to this critic? For some people, this will be their first Mario game. This is what Mario is to them. And I can't know for sure. I mean, I don't even have a Wii U, but I suspect some of the more mechanically devious levels will have been devised by the guys into ROM hack stuff. But no, this tool exists to cater to delusional fanboys. There is a futile egotism to Super Mario Maker, a piece of software that catered to delusory belief that enthusiasm and creativity are interchangeable, that being a fan of something can, if practiced with enough care, create an equivalent of the work to which one's fandom is fixated. This self-deception is antithetical, there's that word again, to the genius of Mario games. From Donkey Kong to Super Mario 64, Mario games have always felt like creations in pursuit of abstract ideas, rather than homages to any specific history or design tradition. Why isn't he happy about crazy levels then? But I think I do kind of actually get it, because you see this in guitarists. You'll get a guy who gets a Strat, thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna sound like Hendrix. It makes sense, right? He has all the bits and pieces Hendrix had. Why can't he make the same sort of thing? And then when he doesn't sound like Hendrix, apparently everyone else is screwing up for getting a Strat and not sounding like Hendrix. Because that must have been why they bought a Strat. They don't genuinely have their own idea about what they want to do with that tool. They're failing to sound like Hendrix, and that's absolute proof that Guitarist 1 isn't just a screw-up from being too obsessed with Hendrix to be able to expect anything outside of that box from the same palette of sounds. Just like how the reason this guy has a bad time with Super Mario Maker isn't his close-mindedness, it's that no one else really gets it, and that, as with many digital tools that seem to liberate us from the laborious demands of creation, Super Mario Maker is primarily an engine for circulating bad ideas and broken gimmicks as if there weren't already an overabundance of them. Yeah, just like Wacom tablets or WashingtonPost.com. And don't even get me started on pencils. Combined with a scanner, stupid drawings can get everywhere in seconds. In seriousness, this is yet another demonstration of one of the biggest problems with the people looking at games. They tend not to demonstrate their skills. And that's even more crucial when we're looking at a tool for creation. Could you imagine a musical instrument review where the reviewer says, I'm new to this, I've spent about 12 hours with it and everything I play seems to be very limited. On top of that, everything I'm hearing from other people who are new to it sounds bad as well. This instrument is primarily a tool for horrible noises. And maybe it's electronic, letting you record sounds and upload them, so then it's one for distributing them too. How useful is that to you when you're trying to figure out how good this creative tool is? Surely you would be more interested in a review from someone who is an expert musician musician. Someone who can show you that yes, they are good, they are in a position to evaluate this thing. Or you'd want someone who is good at level design to tell you how good a level designer is. Or at least someone who has a reputation for being good, or who can demonstrate their work so you can see if you agree that their taste is good. Alright, I'm going to stop here. I have to admit something to you. I've been looking at this as if it's a really bizarre review of a game, and to pretty much everyone, that's what it will be. Or people will look at it as a criticism of gamers for making waste levels. But I don't think it's really quite either. I think we're seeing here what we keep seeing in games press, someone who's ostensibly critiquing a video game when really they're talking about something else. And there are really big flags in the title and first paragraph which I haven't read. Super Mario Maker is a bad comedy. Released in coordination with the 30-year anniversary of Super Mario Bros., it indulges players in the fantasy that they'd be good at making video game levels. This sort of self-deception has become common in the age of digital consumption, and while there's something utopian in Super Mario Maker's appeals to community participation and sharing, the game quickly collapses into a scratch sheet of horrible ideas and levels you'll regret having played. It's a tool for the mass production of cultural refuse, single-use distractions that fail to replicate the spirit of the original. This guy is really talking about capitalism. The idea being presented, and the reason the fanboy bit and the people needing to recreate or whatever is so important, is that he is saying, by commodifying the idea, I guess, of making levels just like you used to love, a system is made in which people waste tons and tons of effort creating and sifting through waste, and that the few gems you get aren't worth it. Just like in real life pursuits, where you think you can make something great, but you can't, because you're throwing all your energy away on hype rather than actual creativity, and you just end up with waste. Deep. I'm not going to go off on that tangent now though. You can likely guess my general view on what I think is being suggested as the cause of making Mario Maker or its community bad. Anyway, what matters here is, if I'm wrong about this, the first part of my video shows why it's a shit review. If I'm right, the lack of clarity, demonstrated by the apparent majority interpretation, shows that it's shit cultural criticism, at least considering how and where it's presented. But, as usual, that's just another one of my harmful opinions.